Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, everyone's talking about April 21st. That's when there's a possible end to the health emergency that has been declared in the United States. And if that happens, basically the framework for sailing disappears and cruise ships can start sailing again. But here's why I think it's not gonna happen. So first off, let's look at all the positive things that are going out there. Vaccines are hugely on the roll. United States is approaching 50% of the population being vaccinated. They've gone from saying they're going to vaccinate 100 million people in 100 days to 200 million people in 100 days. The president himself has come out and said that they're looking at opening up travel to countries like the UK, Canada, Brazil, Mexico coming up in May. So there's a lot of positive signs about possibly ending this emergency order, and case rates have gone way down since the Christmas time, basically, in the new year. Another thing that a lot of people are pointing to is that how good kind of will a feather in the cap be if this administration can come out and say, look, the global world pandemic, the world health emergency here in the United States is over. We cured it. We beat COVID-19. The other administration wasn't able to do it, but we were. And you know that will be the spin. It doesn't matter that they started the vaccines and they did all the research and spent all the money to get the research done. And yeah, that doesn't matter, right? The spin will always be that we cured it. But here's why I think that's not going to happen. When the last expiry was coming, it was supposed to end, actually, the day after the president got sworn into office. They extended it for another 3 months. So it's now going till April 21st. And the reasoning behind extending it at that time was that the American Healthcare Association and other doctors and the CDC all kind of said that what they want to see before that health emergency order is lifted, they want to see under 5,000 cases a day for 14 days in a row, as well as under 500 deaths a day for 14 days. And while the cases have dropped down in the United States quite significantly, by April 21st, it will be a miracle if it drops down below 5,000 cases a day. We're currently between 50 and 70,000 a day. Deaths right now on a 7-day average for the last month are close to 1,000, so almost at double what they are predicting that to be. Also, while the vaccine rollout and everything is going really well in the United States, it's not going well in other parts of the world, including the places that the president said that he wanted to open travel to. Mexico is nowhere near what the United States is. Brazil, nowhere near, and in fact, their cases, while everybody else's cases since January have been going down, in Brazil, they've been climbing ever since January with no turn going down. And their population is nowhere near vaccinated, nowhere near, it's below Canada's vaccine rate. So that's not great. Our vaccine rate here in Canada is atrocious. We're doing 4 months between doses, unlike the United States that only wait 3 to 4 weeks. We are now seeing the AstraZeneca vaccine being cut off to people over a certain age and under a certain age, which will back things up. India has threatened to not send us vaccines. The EU is threatening to withhold exporting vaccines. So yeah, Canada is in a very bad predicament rate place, and our cases are now climbing to the point where Vancouver, British Columbia area, or the whole province just went under a 3-week emergency lockdown. Ontario will probably hit that by the end of this week. Quebec will probably also hit that by the end of this week, as well as some other provinces. Another big lockdown coming in Canada. So yeah, the chances of the United States saying that there is no more chances of an emergency being done on April 21st, I think is very, very slim. I would love it if it happened, but because of not only the current cases that are still going on in the United States, the variants that are still there, and the neighboring countries, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, aren't doing well. And in fact, we may need your assistance if we ever want to get this under control, because you're now vaccinating in some like Texas. Anyone over the age of 16 who wants a vaccine can have one. We haven't even done people over 80 100% yet here in Canada. So that lets you know how far behind we are, and it's worse in other countries. As far as a feather in your cap for this administration, let's face it, whether they end it in April, or whether they end it in July, or whether they end it in October, it doesn't matter. They're still going to be able to say the exact same thing. They're going to be able to say when the previous administration left, cases were at an all-time high. And when we got into office, they've disappeared. No matter when if it takes a year, it doesn't matter. COVID was here for a year up until December almost. So yeah, that's not going to be the reason that they're going to open it up in April. Because they can spin, all governments can spin it in their favor, especially if the numbers start to back them up as far as the reality of where we are. Not the reality necessarily of how everything happened, but the reality of where we are currently in the numbers. And numbers is 100% of the game that all politicians play. So do I think that they're going to end the emergency order in April 21st? As much as I think Royal Caribbean and Carnival are really hoping for it, remember, they're the only ones really who haven't canceled June yet. I think they are dreaming that that is going to end. As much as I would love that to happen, and if that happens, I will be the first to come out, do a video saying I was wrong. But I don't think I'm going to have to film that video. But man, it would be nice if it did, because that would open up the cruises to everything. And here's another thing though, if you end that emergency order and the cruise lines are allowed to sail as normal at that point, because the emergency orders no longer are in effect. You no longer would have to social distance, you would no longer have to wear masks, you would no longer have to get tested, and international travelers from around the world would be welcome to the cruise ships. And I do not think there's any chance in the world that that's going to happen in April. If we see cruising at all in June, July, August, it's going to be US only citizens, and it's going to be cruises basically to private islands or maybe one other stop, but majority will be 7-day cruises to nowhere. So yeah, and remember, if they lift that order, it's no longer restricted to 7-day cruises as well. It can be now 21-day cruises, 40-day cruises, 14-day cruises, all that opens up. Do you honestly, if you look at those things and look at that criteria, do you think they are going to lift the emergency order on April 21st? I don't believe so. Well, I'm sorry to bring you the bad news. That's just my thoughts. I'm just giving you what I think is honestly the way I'm reading it, and from what I'm hearing from certain people in the cruise industry, people on ships, people in the offices, that sort of thing, who confide in me. I'm afraid I don't see that happening. Well, I hope you appreciate this update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.